Glasses, I need glasses. With the brats and every once in a while, I forget them.
Maybe in the state.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Sedro-Woolley City Council. Please rise for our flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you got enough money. Okay. For the record, we're missing Jermaine and Mark Freiberger. Okay, we will go to the consent calendar. You guys know the drills, and Brenda. And if there's something you would discuss further, let me know. We'll take it off the agenda and you can discuss it. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve A through H.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar from A through H. Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Councilmember Galbraith and a second by Councilmember Lindley to approve the consent calendar A through H. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, passed. All right, we're at public comment. This is something that's not on the agenda. You can come up and speak, state your name and address for the record, and limit your time to 3 to 5 minutes. Don't all come rushing up. Same time.
Here we got
64.
Got a taker. Got one.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Lynn Holdeman, 24412 Willida Lane, Sedro-Woolley. I don't know if this is the right time in your agenda to bring this up, but one of your items on the agenda is development.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Property. Should I hold until then?
Yeah, go to item 8. I think that's the one.
Yep, I saw it.
And you can come and speak then.
Like hold until then?
Yeah.
Will do.
Yeah, we'll be there in a second. We'll be there pretty quick.
And Lynn, you had the letter, right?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, I wrote that earlier.
What's he against the development?
Okay, any more public comment? Okay, we will go to item 5, the second reading on the budget, public hearing, and this will be Patsy.
In your council packet is a copy of the ordinance accepting the budget by the fund, at the fund level. The budget was first presented at the workshop this month, as well as the last council meeting. The budget, mayor's preliminary budget, has been online all month, as well as we've had extra copies at the finance department for individuals who are interested in looking at it. And we discussed a lot of different items, so I don't know if the council has any additional questions or comments before the mayor opens the public hearing. If so, I'd be glad to address them.
No more? Okay. I'll open the public hearing at 7:03, and please limit your testimony to the issue at hand. Do we have a list? Because I will be calling names. All right. So this is your opportunity to come up and speak. It's not a time to debate with the council or question the council members. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes per person and just one time at the mic. Thank you. Come on up.
No one.
I'll get it.
Comment, Tony?
I will close the public comment at 7:04. And council, it's your pleasure.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to approve ordinance number 1829-15, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the city of Sedro-Woolley, Washington for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2016.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Councilmember Galbraith and a second by Councilmember Wagoner to approve ordinance number 1829-15, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the city of Sedro-Woolley, Washington for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2016. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, it passes unanimous. We are going to item 6A, and this would be Aaron.
There's three ordinances for consideration tonight. These are also a second reading and public hearing. They are ordinances that would increase the utility rates by 1.61%, which is the Consumer Price Index cost of living adjustment for June over June for the Seattle, Bremerton, Tacoma area, which is our nearest metropolitan statistical area. The only deviation from the 1.61% increase is in the solid waste utility. We're not asking to increase the rates that we just established on our residential recycling and yard green waste program, nor on our commercial recycling. And we have an increase that's more than 1.61% in the haul fee for roll-offs. The fee for that is currently, I think, $161, and we're proposing to go to $170, which is what Leo requested to be market consistent with the market. These fees, so I guess it goes from $163 to $170. The 1.61% increases are really intended just to tread water in the utilities, and I would be remiss if I didn't once again remind you that the stormwater utility is being subsidized by property taxes to the tune of over $50,000, and our budget also zeroes out the stormwater utilities reserve fund, fully zeroed out to nothing. So this is a rate structure that is not sustainable. We're going to have to do something different. It's going to require a rate increase beyond a cost of living adjustment.
Or we keep continuing on the general. Okay.
We can lose an officer again.
Council, do we do each ordinance by itself? Okay.
Yes, please.
They have to be separate.
6A.
And don't forget you've got a public hearing on these as well.
Oh, well, then I will open the public hearing right now on all, was it 4 of them?
3.
3, yeah, number 7. 3. And again, state your name and address for the record. Limit your time to 3 minutes. Don't knock each other down. Okay, we will close. We started at 7:07. We're closing at 7:07. Council, what's your pleasure? Your duty.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion that we adopt ordinance 1830-15, an ordinance increasing the fees and charges for the Sedro-Woolley sanitary sewer system by the Consumer Price Index.
Second.
You can see it.
Okay, we got a motion by Councilmember Limley, a second by Councilmember Wagoner to approve ordinance 1830-15, an ordinance increasing the fees and charges for the use of the City of Sedro-Woolley sanitary sewer system by the CPI, which is 1.61, I think. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I got a few things to say. We have a lot of senior citizens that aren't getting raises. They haven't got them for several years. And the city's taken a cost of living increase. I don't buy it. I've done some
Cost of living increase.
research with the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The CPI is from Seattle, Tacoma, and Bremerton, which has no reflection on our area. What it does is based on food, clothing, shelter, fuels, transportation. The fuel cost in Seattle's higher. The shelter cost has gone way up, and that has no reflection on what we're doing here. So I find it totally unfair just to pick a number from Seattle and apply it to Sedro-Woolley, especially with people, senior citizens, struggling. So.
Aaron, where else do we have as a comparison? Who's the other closest utility on this same status? There is none?
You mean for a cost of living adjustment?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but that is our nearest metropolitan statistical area. They don't run one out of Bellingham, which would be better for us. Although a lot of people suggest that the larger sampling areas provide more consistency. So, you could use a Western United States regional or even a national type number, but
That's going to be way off.
It's just a challenge.
That'll be worse off than this.
We use the CPIU, Seattle, Riverton, Tacoma, as the measure for all three of our bargaining unit contracts. So that's really where that came from, as kind of the best available indication of what the cost of living increases are. Now, I think we could actually demonstrate in our utilities that our costs increased by more than 1.61%, because we're not paying for housing. We're paying for expensive utilities and equipment, fuel, those sorts of things. And even though there are fluctuations, diesel's down right now, but in terms of revenues, so are our revenues, because we immediately drop down the fuel surcharges. So we can see it through a budget in this scenario. So this number, I think, is lower actually than what we would be able to reflect as an actual cost.
And you have here, it looks like to be about 91 cents a month increase.
Well, I think for many Sedro-Woolley utility rate payers, your bill is probably close to $100 a month. I think that's about what mine comes up to. Some are lower, some are higher. It just depends on the size of your garbage can.
Yeah.
Well, on sewer specifically, it's about 91 cents.
Yeah. On the sewer one.
Well, sewer should be about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it raised it 91 cents.
Yeah. So, but the overall bill would be about like for me, it'd be about $1.60. I think it's less for others. I have a bigger garbage can. I get the pink can.
I agree with Kevin that we are not the same cost as Seattle and maybe Bremerton. And I remember years ago, we used to have, I don't know if we did or somewhere, like an 80% of the CPI. We did something, I can't remember when. We did that, was it union contract or something?
It was in one of the collective bargaining agreements.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of fair for Sedro-Woolley, because we don't have the higher rents and the higher things that Seattle does. But
we're getting closer.
But yeah, we are. Well,
when you're taxing people, you need to take into what the cost, not a magic number out of the air. Like the Bureau of Labor Statistics says, that the differences between cities are not reflected in the CPI.
23.50.
So,
I don't know if you remember,
For a
Kevin,
one-bedroom.
but this is a couple years we've been doing the CPI, isn't that right? Because we were doing what it was costing, we had these big jumps instead of a gradual slope.
You're right.
This is when Tony was on the city councilman. We had we had these gigantic leaps, which
$4 or $5 would be harder.
these big numbers to pay for the cost. We went in a deficit for a little while, made up for it. So the CPI was an idea to, instead of
Slowly.
because the costs always are increased.
Well,
where are you coming up with the money to pay for the big gaps you're making then?
but
What we did is we did big jumps in the rates, and that's why we ended that, because we had more controversy over these big leaps than at least pegging it to something. And that was, I don't know how many years ago that was. I know Tony was here. So.
But what I'm hearing you say is, we're not going to raise the tax by the increase it costs us, we're just going to do it by 1.3%, so we're actually going to lose money.
so what you're saying is we should go hire that.
I'm saying
Let me talk.
Okay.
That girl to come in and spend $30,000 on a study, so we can. I don't want any more studies.
Yeah.
You have to just figure something. CPI, 80%, something. That's a lot easier than breaking down. And how do you figure out what the exact cost is?
Well, when I was in the construction business, you knew what everything cost. How do you make bids? How do you run the city if you don't know what things cost? You don't need a study. You got it on
I run
paper.
businesses, and I raise mine up when like CPI and stuff. I don't go out and hire a study to do it.
You don't need a study.
Well-
You got all your accounting system tells you what everything costs.
Well, if you did do it at the...
percent
Go.
override in your bids? Did
What's
you
that?
put in a percentage allotment for unanticipated overages and things with that when you were doing those bids?
They always hit me. They always hit me with that.
Like a 10%
Most of the time, no, because low bidder gets the job.
Yeah, but then they hit you up for something else later. All right, any more discussion? So we have a motion on there, we had the discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Opposed?
So it's 4-2 with Kinzer and Loy in the negative. Okay, so we will go to the next one. And that would be B, stormwater by 1.61.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 1831, TAC 15, an ordinance amending the fees and charges for the use of the city's Sedro-Woolley storm and surface water utility system by the amount of the consumer price index.
1831. Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second. Yes.
Okay.
Hate to do it, but you got to do it.
Okay, we got a motion by Councilmember Wagoner, second by Councilmember Lemley, to approve ordinance 1831-15, ordinance amending the fees and charges for the use of the city Sedro-Woolley storm and surface water utility system by the amount of the CPI, 1.61%. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say that in this case specifically, it truly is a drop in the bucket, because we know that if we made it as high as is required to break even, what would that be, Aaron, roughly?
Well, 15.2% would allow us to not use a property tax subsidy, but it would still leave us with a zero balance on our reserve budget and an inability to maintain pipe in the ground.
So there's the real number, 15.2% to break even. Nobody wants that.
And we could provide actual numbers for the city council if you'd like, for the sewer utility and the solid waste as well, but they are in excess of 1.61%.
So what we're doing is losing ground less quickly.
No, it's a whole new thing. I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Using a Band-Aid.
No, it isn't. It's a whole new thing. Stormwater.
I
We used to never have that years ago.
I don't like stormwater.
I don't either.
And we need legislative relief from it.
No,
That's what we
you can
need.
take care of it with out of your general fund, like we've been doing. It's all up to you guys. Okay, any more discussion?
Killed with it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Opposed?
Okay, it went 4-2 with Kinzer and Loy in the negative. Okay, we will go to, where did I do with that paperwork? Which one is that?
Actually, Ann, I did have one question.
All right.
There's a
Solid waste, where did I do with that? Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
He's
So
reading.
if you're impervious, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So there was a breakdown in here for, one is like a parking lot, I assume? One is a regular house?
The commercial folks are,
Was that the-
can have the option of choosing to be billed based on their impervious surface, and they bring in the calculations, and it's a different rate.
Kills me.
Oh, I'm sure I hate it.
Whole half a block of it.
You just pay.
Just thinking.
Yeah.
They should be paid.
Okay, we're at
Put in a grass field to park at.
C. This is solid waste utility rates, and it's the same thing. You wanted to explain it, Aaron? Okay, it's 1.61, and I need a motion
Your turn.
for the solid waste.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1832, correct?
Yes.
1832, TAC 15, an ordinance amending section 8.04.075 of the Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code to increase solid waste utility rates and charges by the consumer price index.
Second.
I was waiting for
I
it.
read it,
Sandstrom.
19 cents.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Galbraith, second by Councilmember Lemley, to approve ordinance 1832, TAC 15, ordinance amending section 8.04.075 of the Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code to increase solid waste utility rates and charges by the CPI.
31, depending upon the size of your can.
Any more discussion?
For the small.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Opposed?
Okay, 4-2, Kinzer and Loy in the negative. Okay,
Can I say one thing?
yeah.
On a small can, this rise was 19 cents. On a
31
on a large can, it was a 31-cent raise.
32.
32, 31.5.
And then a 68 is
And a 68 is
54.
64 cents.
Do I have
56
that one?
cents.
Item 7,
Okay.
79. Oh, I missed it. Okay, we are going to...
So we're talking
where
no
is it
money.
here?
Basically.
There it is, good. We're going to item 7, utility tax on water, second reading. This will be Aaron.
We talked about this in more detail when we did the first reading. The City Council levied a 6% tax on water last year, and because of the way the Wenatchee versus Chelan County PUD case came out, the PUD is able to pay that on a portion of their revenue. So it's a tax levied on the PUD's revenue, not on their customers' revenue, or on the customers' bills, but on the PUD's revenue itself. But the tax doesn't apply to that portion of the PUD's system, which they determine is for fire purposes, for fire flow. So the result of the 6% tax was a 4.5% tax. This ordinance would increase the 6% tax to 7.5% in order to collect an actual 6%. So the purpose of this ordinance is to collect next year what the City Council said it wanted to collect this year, which is 6%. The City of Mount Vernon ran into the same situation, and their City Council adopted an ordinance last night increasing their utility tax to 7% to accommodate that fire flow differential from what they had estimated. In our case, the increase would be about $27,075 a year. And thanks to Councilman Limley, there is a defect in Section 2 of the ordinance, which is the effective date. So following a public hearing, if a council member wishes to make a motion to adopt the ordinance, please include a revision to Section 2 for the effective date of January 1st, 2016.
Going to bite the bullet on this one.
I have a question. How was this not known ahead of time that this would take place with the fire not being paid, the fire capacity?
Well, so there's been a decades-long debate between cities and PUDs, although not very many because most cities own their own water utilities. So we're fairly unique in Skagit County in that there's a group of 3 cities who purchase water from a public utility district. So cities tax themselves almost universally, but there's been this quirk in the law that seemed to suggest that cities could not tax the PUDs. And the Chelan case that came out, I guess, would have been in mid-2014, said no, cities also have, home rule cities have the authority to tax PUDs. But they carved out this fire issue. But we don't know what that means until the PUD actually puts their accounting team on it and decides what it means.
So when was that finally determined?
Well, I'd say it was springtime. I don't know. So earlier this year, near the beginning of the year.
Was it known that they were going to do this?
Well, yeah, I think we anticipated that there would be some reduction as a result of the case. The question is, was it going to be as significant as this, 20%? That was surprising.
Yeah.
And is this the debt buyback? We're using this money to purchase?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so these dollars by council ordinance go into the council restricted fund, the City Council Strategic Reserve Fund, which was created with 2 purposes. One was the acceleration of debt repayment to save citizens money, in terms of interest payment and debt relief, and also to have dollars available for, I think the way it's worded is it's really any council purpose, but it's specifically targeted to investments that could create jobs or economic development. So conceptually, this fund would have dollars available if somebody's trying to locate in the city, and you putting in the sidewalks or helping with the intersection improvements makes the difference between them investing their $20 million in Sedro-Woolley or doing it down the road in Burlington. This fund would give you the ability to front load some of those infrastructure investments and then recover those funds in the future through the new taxes that are generated.
So if I had
we haven't actually spent any of the money out of this fund.
So if I had a $100 water bill,
Yeah.
and I was going to raise this up 1.5% like we're trying to do, it would cost me $1.50.
Correct.
Is what we're saying here.
Yes. for a total of $27,000 per year.
In addition to, how much would the rest of it be?
Well, the total is $135,000 per year. So whatever that is, 108. I think it was 108,000. So this would increase it to 135,000.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve.
I got to open up a public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, you are.
So I will open up the public hearing at 7:25 on this utility tax on domestic water. Anybody want to discuss it? Come on up.
But just to make sure everything's clear here, Mr. Mayor, and I'm talking to you too, Aaron, the 1.5% that I was talking about, this is already passed. All we're talking about is the 1.5%. So you can't go back and change something that's already passed. So all we're talking about is if I had a $100 water bill, I would be raising it $1.50.
Yeah, well, true, but the council does have the authority to go back and undo a tax. You know, I know it sort of feels like those parking strips at the airport that you never back over them or the tires go off. But the truth is, you could take this and make it lower. You have the legal ability to do that.
So somebody, if they disagreed with this on this council,
1833.
should do something about it and make a lower amount or not say anything, right?
Excuse me?
What was the reason that we chose 6% in the first
I can't
place?
believe you said that. That's outrageous.
Okay.
Our original target was 6%. What was the rationale behind that again?
We're paying off.
6%.
Yeah, but like, isn't any money you pay down on the debt is going to save the taxpayers money? So I'm just trying to remember the conversation from a year ago.
Well, our utility taxes have been at 6%. Our utility tax on electricity and natural gas and cable are at 6%. Our utilities on sewer, stormwater, and garbage are at 7.5%. So I think the idea was to put it in line with the utilities provided by others category.
I remember that now.
And not to use it in the general fund to pay down something.
Correct. This was special targeted funds so that the money wouldn't just disappear. It would be utilized at the council's discretion.
I believe the water tax in Mount Vernon, they had a sunset on it, so it went away. So it goes away in the future.
Well, they did. Last night is when they voted to extend it and increase it. So they had a 1-year sunset.
At this time, anybody come and speak, I will close the public hearing at 7:27. Now we can discuss or whatever you guys want to do.
We're in public comment.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 1833, TAC 15, an ordinance amending Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code 5.06.020 to increase the city utility tax on domestic water.
Second.
Sandstrom. Okay, a motion by Councilmember Wagoner, a second by Councilmember Sandstrom to approve ordinance number 1833, TAC 15, ordinance amending Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code 5.06.020 to increase the city utility tax on domestic water. Any further discussion?
2016.
Oh, yep, and with the amendment of...
I'll amend my motion to include the change to January 1st, 2016 in Section 2.
Okay. So done. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Opposed?
So we got a 3-3. Do I break the tie on that? It has to be by 2, supermajority.
No, it requires the affirmative vote of 4 council members.
Okay.
So I think, I'll take a look. I think our rules suggest it would come back when the full council's here for consideration.
Yeah, but then it'd still be 4-3.
That's okay.
Or 3-4.
Not a supermajority.
No, you only need 4 votes, but you need 4 council members to pass an ordinance.
Oh, okay. So the mayor's off the hook. See, you tried.
Guess so.
I have no idea.
Next item.
That was Councilman Galbraith was in the
He
negative.
was trying to, okay.
Could I have abstained since I'm not on public water?
No.
Too late now. Yeah, well, no. Okay, we will be going to item 8. This is a preliminary approval of the plat of Salt Mountain View Estates North, and this would be John.
Good evening. So this is a standard preliminary plat approval for 28 lots off of Portobello Road along East Gateway Heights Loop and West Gateway Heights Loop. Most of the infrastructure was put in the past for this property because when the original plat in this area was anticipated, these lots were anticipated. It was only approved for about 212 lots total for all of the Sauk Mountain View Estates. The developer chose to use some of those lots and do smaller lots in one area, so they lost 28 lots out of that entire Sauk Mountain View Estates area. So this, after several years, they were able to come back and put together a long plat with a planned residential development aspect to it to allow for the final 28 lots to be completed. These lots are slightly larger than the ones that were in the previous lots. The council changed the PRD rules, so these lots are bigger than they would have been in the past. The hearing examiner has recommended approval, subject to conditions listed in the hearing examiner's decision, which starts on page 86 of your packet with the recommendations shown starting on page 98. It also includes a modification of basically the removal of a lot, a buildable lot within this area, and dedicating that lot as a play area. And also approved along this would be play equipment and a set of trails around the larger development. I'm happy to point out if you have any questions about where the locations of those are. That's all I got.
So there's going to be a little play area?
There's going to be a little play area.
That where the city's going to, or the homeowners?
It'll be owned by the homeowners association.
Okay.
Under the power line?
No, it's
That's where their last one is.
it's on one of the lots in between the Loop Road.
Okay.
Formerly known as Lot 58 of Sauk Mountain View Estates Phase 4. This is Sauk Mountain View Estates Phase 5 North.
So this is the first reading, so we don't do any action on it, but we can probably take some input if you would like to come up and speak about it.
I'm confused where he is with relationship to this.
Thank you, Mayor. Lynn Holdeman, 24412 Willida Lane. I live just on the north border of that proposed plat. I think that's what we call it. I have a couple points that I've brought up over the last few months with this development. I have no objection to the development, just a few points to improve or maintain the rural atmosphere of the property that I bought 3 years ago. Since it started, I've learned that the property line isn't where I presumed it was. You know how realtors are. And there's a row of trees that are coming out. Trees and saplings will be removed for a fence line that is illustrated on this conclusion here on item 5, a 6-foot fence. Removing a row of trees and putting a 6-foot fence takes away the rural environment and puts us in city limits, it looks like. From sitting out and looking at trees and countryside that we bought to looking at somebody's backyard and a 2-story house. So we're looking for hopefully some hedges, leyland hedges or something like that that may grow tall enough to soften the impact of the city moving within 50 feet of our bedrooms now. During the construction, I'm noticing, now this may be standard policy of 7 to 9 p.m. on weekdays. it gets a little lengthy for kids to run excavators and backhoes and cement trucks, and they do that down in the other development. The development that's been going on, no effect on us. They're far enough away. Like I say, now they'll be between here and that wall to our house. So if we could limit that to maybe 8 o'clock or soften it up, no heavy equipment after 8 o'clock, that'd be appreciated. We still hear skill saws and the rest of the construction. But I do approve the way that the operations have been going. They've been working smoothly, promptly, and diligently, and these houses are going up in no short or no long matter. They're moving with a purpose on this, so I know it won't be a long impact on us. There was one other point, dear. What was that? Anyways, our biggest point is we welcome the neighbors and the Janikis. We're just hoping for some softening of the urban moving into our property. And we're willing to take the hedges, or even assisting us, we'll put it ourselves on our property line. I know they need the full length of their boundary right to the edge. Since it's been resurveyed again, and I've questioned it, had my own survey done, I'm not contesting their survey lines. Just if there's anything they could do besides strip out all the trees and put a fence up and say, welcome to the city, I'd appreciate any help on that.
Are those trees on your property, or what you thought was your property?
What I thought was on, yes. There are survey markers and there are fence posts in amongst these trees. And Mr. Janicki and an excavator operator came out this spring. They started clearing out saplings and rocks, and we walked the property line. And he thought that his property, well, he stated, and I presumed, his property line was on the south side of this tree line. It would be no impact on ours. And that's the way he cleared all the saplings out, and that's the way it lays at this moment.
So you've lost property to the north.
I feel that I have, but having the Jepson surveyors, and then I hired another surveyor to prove accuracy, I have no argument. But apparently, what I presumed I thought I owned was mistaken. So all those trees are going away, and it's now hello fence.
Is it possible to retransplant those back onto your property? Did you talk to him about doing that?
I haven't discussed too heavily with him.
Fence?
I'm sorry?
Would it impede that fence?
It would. It would, yeah. Yeah, no, it all needs to go away. To do what he needs to do, they need to go away. One of the trees is, I don't know, 150 foot tall, maple and cedar. There's some small ones. It's impractical. Yeah, it's impractical.
6 feet fence.
Yeah.
So they're not saplings. They're big established trees.
Right.
What's the city requirement on a fence, Aaron?
6 foot.
Is it 6?
Maximum.
Well, the maximum height is 6 feet if it's on the property line.
So that could possibly be negotiated?
You mean to be higher?
Lower.
Oh, lower?
Well, he wouldn't want it lower. He would want it higher.
Why would you want it higher? You got a big fence there. I put a hedge there.
He doesn't want to look in the back of...
Yeah, but if you put a hedge right on the other side of it, going right down, you can clear it out.
Well, the hearing examiner had a requirement of, what, 6 foot fence?
A 6-foot wood fence, site obscuring fence, is an effort to assist the neighbor with, delineation and blocking the view of the new houses.
Is your property back there, touching the Janicki? How many feet?
What is the length of that? It's an acre in length, or whatever that length is.
Well, you have a
500
square
feet?
acre? An acre is 200 feet long, 208. By 208.
Okay, we border on the where the fire lane is, and our property goes underneath the power lines to the far side, and then clear out to Oneida Lane. So we have about 4.5 acres, but we border that whole northern wall
You got like 200
from the fire lane that's in there.
That's a long fence.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but he's only proposing, 5 houses, I think, up along that. So it's really not that, I think there's only 5 or 6 lots. Yeah, that's crowding right on our fence line.
It's got about 240 feet along these 5 lots. It's lots 8, 7, 6, and 5. They're all about 60 feet wide, and those are the properties that will abut Mr. Holdeman's property.
So the hearing examiner did say a fence back there?
Correct.
Looks like 7 to 9, I just pulled up the noise ordinance. Looks like 7 to 9 weekdays and 8 to 9 weekends is what we have in the ordinance.
I understand that, yeah. Doesn't make to ask.
I was checking for my own edification.
No, was it just the industrial that we created a buffer for development, or is it, okay, so it wasn't all?
Well, it's differentials between zones, so if you're building industrial next to a residential or something like that, then there'd be a buffer. But residential next to residential doesn't have a buffer, and we don't have any specific buffers if you happen to be the person at the edge of the city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, technically, there's no requirement for...
Between Skagit and city is nothing, okay.
I'm just asking.
How close is that line to city?
It is the city line.
Right on the city line?
Yeah. The Haldeman property is outside the city. The plat is the northern edge of city
So all
limits.
his property would be in the county?
His property is in the county, not in the urban growth area.
Right.
Did Janikes get a copy of your concerns?
I believe, I don't know.
I'm sorry?
I presented them back in August in writing.
Oh.
And I'm not sure how they were disseminated from there.
He usually work with you pretty good. Yeah.
Looking for the location of your comments. Your comments were included with the hearing examiner report. I just need to find the page for you. It's on page 135 of the City Council packet, Exhibit A.
Yeah, it's 135, because I read it earlier, but I might just approach them with this and say, this is what I would hope for, and see if they'll accommodate you.
I'm here as a formality. I believe most of this can just be handled with a gentleman handshake and a simple little backhoe and a couple of shrubs. But I'm just asking officially if there's anything for record.
Thank you.
Well, this is the first reading, so we'll have a couple weeks, or when's the next reading?
December 9th.
So that's a couple weeks before we approve it or disapprove it. But we can maybe talk, someone can get a hold of Rob by then.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Any more discussion? Anyone else? Well, it's the first reading, so you guys study it up, and we will discuss it at the next meeting. And we'll go to item 9. You want to talk about this, Keith? You were at that. The veterans.
It says there's late materials, but I don't see any materials.
Did we? From Schmidt was going to bring them by.
I haven't seen anything.
Well, anyways, explain that you remember it all.
Oh, well, we went up, John Schmidt, and who else from town was with him? Pardon? Oh, and Louis.
Really, yeah.
Are proposing a Veterans Memorial out off of Helmick Road, where the parking lot is, where they do the county cross-country races. So it's county property, and they were just asking if there would be any pushback for the city, or would we be willing to write a letter and endorse the plan. So it seemed, I don't see how you could be against it. They're at a very preliminary stage, but it's just a monument/park that's a Veterans Memorial place.
And it's county.
And it's in the county.
County will, maintain it, take care of it.
Where's it at?
We are just going to say we don't have a problem with it.
You turn
Do they know how big?
It's a little park.
Well, it's the park that's up there already. I don't know. Kevin might know. You're on.
Yeah, it's pretty big. There was a pretty good sized picnic shelter. Ken Whitting or Whiting from Anacortes are trying to get he's got tanks and all kinds of stuff they want to see if they can put out there, and it'll be quite a nice place.
I think they had seen an example in Tonasket, Washington, that had impressed somebody, and I don't think they were expecting this would all happen at once. It might go in stages.
It's already been going on for 2 years. So.
Yeah.
So they're just looking for the city's
There's money in the budget for
endorsement.
next year to kind of get started.
Yeah, and they said a letter from us wouldn't hurt them, would help. So we've, thought of bringing it back to you guys, and if there's somebody who's got a problem, let us know. If not, we'll write a letter for the support. Okay, we'll go to committee reports and reports from officers, and we'll start with Chief. Tucker.
So, just a couple of updates. 8:30 in the morning, Saturday morning, the Cubs will be heading out of town on a bus, going to Yakima, right?
Yeah, Eisenhower High School in Yakima.
Yeah, they're going to be heading to Yakima. So, if you get a chance out and about Saturday morning, line up the downtown streets. We're trying to get some support for the crew going over. We got a good bunch of kids down there. We went live with the new radio tower in the last couple of weeks, and in the testing and the use of the radios, everything's been going excellent. We're like cell phone type clarity on our portable radios pretty much everywhere in town.
How about Cascade Middle? You guys going there?
Yeah, we tested them in the elevator at Cascade Middle School when we were doing the testing of it. Clear as a bell. Talking out of the school at the high school, it's working well. So thank you, Aaron. Aaron jumped through hoops and got all the support we needed to get that going. We've turned Katie loose on the city. She's our last new person trainee, so she's out committing law enforcement upon the public. So keep your eye out. She's out there. She was looking for a bad guy for Councilman Wagoner this afternoon with me, and we found him. And so she's out there. Today was pretty much her first day on her own, and then she'll be moved into the regular rotation here pretty soon.
Nice.
We had a small remodel project in our office. We changed around an old couple of little interview rooms to turn them into an office. They had been an office in the past, but we got Kevin and Nathan to do the work, and it was a pretty low-budget affair, but did outstanding work. Kevin's kind of a craftsman when it comes to doing some of that building remodel. So we're going to move Laura into that office, our code enforcement officer, and get a sergeant into her space. Councilman Galbraith, you'll kind of like this. We had a complaint the other day on one of our officers. He wrote a ticket up on the Hill for somebody at 4 o'clock in the morning popping the Jake brake, and he was quite upset that we ruined his life, his holidays, his weekend, and Aaron, I think, pointed out that I think Officer Eddie probably made a lot of other people's day by doing that. The guy got popped at about 4:30 in the morning using his Jake brake coming down the hill. So, and word will get out. I think it was a Facebook post, wasn't it? So it went out on social media that we were picking on people in Jake brakes on Dukes Hill. So
Was it from the United States?
Yeah. Dan's out there hitting that pretty hard. You may hear in the paper we have a pretty big case going on with one of the pharmacists at Rite Aid. Doing some kind of weird stuff, and they were at our Rite Aid here. They were in Anacortes in Mount Vernon, and she's in custody right now, diverting medication, dispensing while intoxicated, essentially, sorting through medicine while she was under the influence of medicine that she was stealing. So I don't know if that one's going to hit the paper, but if it does. Yeah, it probably will now. She is in custody, so everything's open to public comment anyway. But this is Detective Sorsdal's first big catch, and she's doing a bang-up job on cleaning what she's caught. Yes, sir.
So I got a weird call from a woman at Rite Aid asking for my wife, and we don't do business for pharmacies like that. Is she, I mean, what danger is Darcy under? Like, did she take her information?
No.
No, okay.
She couldn't have managed any information. She was pretty stoned.
Okay, so.
Nice.
It just seems weird that.
No, who knows? There's so many weird things going on out there, phone-wise, and.
Well, no, she called from Rite Aid.
Yeah.
So, as a pharmacist.
No, that's nothing to do with that.
No, okay.
And the last thing I got is since we've had Chris on light duty for his thumb issue, fighting with the ice cream cake bandit, we've got him doing a lot of little extra projects around the office, and I had him tackle the radar trailer. We've been doing without that for a while. It had some broken parts on it. He jumped on that and has got it up and running. So just forward me any information on the first place we want to get it set back up. It should be up and running. We'll probably not set it up until after the holiday or over the weekend. But if you got any specific spots you want it set up, just let me know.
Yeah, how about on Wally Street right by the high school?
Oh, yeah, and that's where we've been hitting pretty hard after school.
Like about 2 o'clock.
For traffic. So it's either there or we got one going 50 miles an hour by the tennis courts right after school today. And we could put 5 people around the school and probably catch them all day long, and we put as many down there as we can. So that's all I have.
Chief Klinger?
We've got the ambulance down in Chehalis that's being rechassied. Might have ran into a setback. They sent us photos of it this morning. Took a look at it, and they had striped it, and we had actually deleted that in the bid. We wanted the local striper here to put the decals on the truck. So after the brand new fresh box that they just painted and put the decals on, now they have to pull them off. So we're assuming they're going to have to repaint the box also. So it'll probably be a couple weeks later than what we were assuming. They were supposed to get back to us tomorrow and let us know the extent of that. We found out how long it takes to respond code to concrete. We responded yesterday to a structure fire up there for them in the Cape Horn area. Across the Dalles Bridge and back around. It takes about 22 minutes in a pickup and 30 minutes in an engine. So they had a structure fire up there and only had one guy show up in their initial response. So they needed some help, and Sedro-Woolley was the closest manned department. We do have volunteer testing coming up on the 12th. We still have 2 residence vacancies now. When Skylar leaves at the end of the month, he probably got hired over there in is it OMAC, Mayor? Yeah, in OMAC. So we'll have 2 residency openings, but we also got one of our residents that was here, had joined the Air Force. He's finishing his 4-year tour. He'll be coming back and has requested for the board to move back into quarters. We've got all of his certifications back through the state, so we looks like we're down 1 at this point in time. And last night, the department, along with District 8, got certified in Narcan use, so we'll start carrying Narcan on the vehicles probably tomorrow when I go pick it up. So
okay, don't know available. What is that?
For heroin, it'll basically it counteracts the drug. It takes out one of the receptors in there in your body. If it does get given accidentally or contraindicated and it gets administered, there's no side effects to Narcan if you get a dose of it. In fact, we played with it last night in this very room. So it's I think all the fire departments. Which police departments is it? Just tribal?
Yeah, Swinomish
tribal is using it, and Lummi, and then all the fire departments got certified in it here over the last week or so. So they'll all be carrying it. As far as usage of it, the medics have had it forever. We use a very shouldn't say frequently, but very rarely that it actually gets used around here. It does get used quite frequently on the reservations and in Mount Vernon and Burlington. So, but Sedro-Woolley really we haven't used it that much here. But we'll have it if we need it.
When you go to Cape Horn, is that professional courtesy, or is there some sort of financial?
That's because they asked. That's it. Yeah, we get nothing for that. The same as they would come to Woolley if they were asked to.
You're one person?
Of course, they'd just come down with one guy, but they'd come. So, but yeah.
It's a one-way street.
Yeah, it's a mutual aid agreement that's county-wide. That we'll go anywhere we're asked to. So.
Fight the dragon.
Is there something like that for the police?
Yes.
So you got similar.
Yep. If we get called to Anacortes, if we get called to Snow County, We have some specialty units that already do that on a regular basis, a negotiator team and a SWAT team that are already under mutual or MOUs with those entities. But yeah.
So like when the bridge fell down, did you guys go over and help?
We would have if we needed to.
But the fire department did, and the police weren't needed.
No, that was more a state patrol thing and Burlington thing. But no, we've got each chief signs a document with WASPIC, our professional organization, that gives us mutual aid agreement with every other agency in the state. And you can deselect agencies if you don't want to have mutual aid with them, if you've got a problem with them. But most of us sign. I can go help out in Yakima.
I was going to say, theoretically, you could end up in Eastern Washington if it was bad enough.
Yes.
Okay, John?
All right, so at the council's next work session, we're going to be talking about the Center for Innovation and Technology Planned Action Ordinance and Sub-Area Plan. Just giving you a heads up what we'll be talking about. That actually will be in this room instead of the normal work session location. So we'll try to put a reminder on that on the packet that's was probably handed out tonight, I believe.
Yeah, it's right here.
So we'll have an informal discussion about that at that date, and then we'll have a public hearing on the planned action ordinance, the sub-area plan, and actually, it's not going to be a public hearing. It'll be a public meeting, just a regular city council meeting to adopt on the December 9th meeting. We already had a public hearing at the Planning Commission level in November. And the EIS, the final EIS for that project was issued on November 16th. The Planning Commission is going to be down 2 members at the end of the year, so we're still looking for applicants for planning commissioners for next year, serving 6-year terms. The Planning Commission on December 15th will be having a public hearing on the urban growth area expansion proposal. The actual map showing what areas are proposed to be included in the urban growth area is on the website, on the main city web page, next to the December 15th notice of public hearing. And then once the Planning Commission has their hearings and should they make a recommendation, they'll come to the City Council for the City Council's kind of thumbs up via resolution. Then we'll shoot it over to the county to go to their process. Incidentally, related to that, our 2015 request to be on the docket to actually go through their process to expand our urban growth area was accepted today by the Board of County Commissioners. So officially will be recognizing that the city of Sedro-Woolley has an application with them. And so
I forgot to ask you, did anything else get docketed? What?
The request for an urban growth area expansion in Burlington to include the Raspberry Ridge has been docketed. Now, docketing, for those in the audience, means the county commissioners and the planning commission is going to review these items, hold public hearings, study them, and potentially send it to the county commissioners for their adoption or rejection, whatever the case may be. Docketing just says the county's actually going to study it. So getting it on the agenda, so to say. So the Raspberry Ridge UGA expansion has been docketed. The Bayview residential expansion was not docketed.
Good.
The Butler Hill, Avalon, whatever they're calling it these days, was not docketed, but it doesn't appear to be totally going away. So that's a discussion that the City Council of Sedro-Woolley I'll give you an update on someday.
Isn't that supposed to be like 15,000 people?
Well, they're asking for 10,000. They asked for a 10,000 10,000 residents allocation, and the cities don't support it because the cities are here to accept residential population, not ship it off to the middle of nowhere somewhere. Better planned in a community than, out in the hinterlands. So I can give the city council an update on that issue later, but that was not docketed for now. And those were the only items that were related to urban growth area expansions or zoning changes like that.
Okay. Aaron?
I've been making arrangements for our Association of Washington Cities Legislative Action Conference, which is January 27th and 28th next year. We've got the mayor-elect, me, and then I've got 2 council member rooms reserved for, but we also need to do the registration. So I guess we're looking for council members who are interested in going down and representing the city at the city action days. We'll of course need to have a council meeting that night as well. So whoever comes to Olympia will be not at a council meeting. So I guess if anyone's interested, maybe.
What is that again?
It's Wednesday the 27th. So it's early morning departure on the 27th, and then we come home the evening of the 28th, Thursday.
I'd like to go again.
Yeah, so I don't need to know tonight, but if 2 people are interested, maybe let me know or let the mayor-elect know, and we'll get that figured out. And that's all I've got.
Betsy?
This morning, we had the exit conference for our annual audit. They, this afternoon, emailed all of the counselors the results, the 2-page document like this. There were no findings and no management comments. And then they've started with a little document like this, looks like a little book, but it gives all the sample statements that will be with our financials when they issue the reports. And Andy took a little bit of time going over what the different ones meant, and the fact that they give an adverse opinion on GAAP just means that our city does not use that method of accounting, but we do use the cash basis, which is one of the 2 recommended choices that the state auditor's office gives governmental units the choice to use. So if you have any questions on any of the documents, please feel free to see me, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. Or you can give Kasha a call. Her contact information is also on the document, and ask directly what your questions might be. So it was a clean audit. And
Another one.
Another one, yes. And they like coming here. They like the room. They like the windows. And our staff works hard to get whatever they need right away, because I see it as costing the city money if they're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs with nothing to do.
They're raising it to $92 or $93 an hour.
Yeah, the rates will be going up next year, yes. So we want to keep that audit bill as low as we can, although they do estimate next year's audit bill will be $28,500 plus travel expenses. So
Yeah, that's a good room, because they got the bathroom just across the hall. They got the drinking fountain there.
And their little refrigerator.
Yeah,
They're set.
They're not walking a lot.
So that's about a $20,000 increase year over year.
Yeah, but it's something they're doing more.
Yeah, next year's audit will be a 2-year.
Budget impact, that's $20,000 more needed next year than this year.
Next year, it might be less or more.
And we are required to use their services. We cannot contract out with an independent CPA firm.
Kind of monopoly. Okay, Kevin?
Nothing.
Brenda?
Nothing tonight.
Keith?
Go Cubs, Saturday morning.
Yep. Hugh?
Nothing.
Rick?
Happy Thanksgiving. Eat hearty,
Yeah. Brett?
drink good wine.
I guess just a request to since I have this fancy machine, to stop printing these for me.
Yeah.
Oh, you're an IT man.
Keyboards?
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, should be here. I think Bill got them this week, so
We have executive.
we'll
I think we
track
do. He
those
hasn't
down.
mentioned anything. You guys saw the copy of the letter from Skagit Valley Bulb Farm. We thanked them, Nathan did, for the donating 550 tulip bulbs to the city.
Now, who's Skagit Valley?
That's
On the Bradshaw Road.
Tulip Town.
Oh,
Okay. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, there's only two, so I think that's Dagote's farm, right?
okay.
What was the name on the letter? Who's it addressed to?
It says to Jeanette.
Dagote? Yeah.
Oh, it just says Jeanette.
Oh, well, that's who it is. Yeah.
Julie says
So
yes.
that's Tulip Town.
Tulip Town.
So the other one is Washington Bulb and Rusengard's. So the Dagotes own that one, and the Rusens own the other one. And I don't think there are any more.
You done?
Yep. So we need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Any second? Okay, all those in favor stand. We're out of here. Thank you for coming.
Wow.